The ARI Val, the void of space burned with weapons fire. Commander, Krell gripped the arms of his command chair as another explosion rocked his flagship. Through the viewing screen, he watched 3 more Council vessels break apart under the relentless assault of the Drath Empire's fleet. The battle had turned into a massacre. Shields at 30%. His weapons officer shouted over the alarms. All ships, fall back to defensive positions. Krell ordered, though he knew it was hopeless. The Drath had brought twice as many warships as intelligence had predicted. Their dark vessels moved through space like hunting beasts, tearing apart everything in their path. The Drath Empire had been expanding aggressively for years, conquering weaker species and absorbing their worlds. The Galactic Council had finally decided to make a stand here at the edge of Council space. It was supposed to be a show of strength. Instead, it was becoming their greatest defeat. Commander, we've lost the carrier's Bright Hope and Star Guardian, his tactical officer reported, her voice shaking. The Drath are pushing through our left flank. Krell watched his tactical display with growing despair. Red markers showed enemy positions surrounding his fleet. Blue markers representing Council ships were disappearing one by one. They had lost half their forces in less than an hour. Prepare to sound the full retreat, Krell said quietly. It hurt to give the order, but he wouldn't sacrifice every life here for pride. Then, every screen in the fleet went dark for exactly 3 seconds. When they flickered back to life, a message appeared in bold white letters across every display, every communication channel, every tactical screen in both fleets. Warning, a human warship has entered the battlefront. Silence fell across Krell's bridge. His crew stared at the words, confused. What is a human? His science officer asked. I don't know, Krell admitted. In his 40 years of service, he had never heard the term. Across the battlefield, weapons fire slowed and then stopped. Both fleets had received the same mysterious warning. Sensors swept the area, searching for this unknown vessel. Contact. The sensor operator called out. Single ship, bearing 27 Mark IV. It's small, Commander. Frigate class at most. Krell's screen showed the vessel. It looked strange, angular, and aggressive in design, covered in what appeared to be armor plating. Compared to the massive battle cruisers around it, the ship seemed almost fragile. Open a channel, Krell ordered. Channel open, sir. Unknown vessel. This is Commander Krell of the Galactic Council flagship Unity. You have entered an active war zone. I strongly advise you to retreat immediately. For a moment, there was only static. Then a voice responded, calm and unhurried. This is Captain Reed of the Earth vessel Defiance. We've been monitoring the situation. Requesting situation report. The voice spoke in perfect Council standard, but there was something different about the tone. It was casual, almost relaxed, as if flying into a massive space battle was routine. Captain Reed, the Drath Empire is attacking Council forces, Krell explained quickly. You are severely outnumbered and outgunned. Please, save yourself and leave this area. Understood, Reed replied. Beginning combat operations. Krell blinked. Captain, did you hear me? There are over 200 Drath warships out there. Yes, I counted them. Defiance out. The human ship surged forward at a speed that made Krell's sensors scream warnings. It was moving faster than any vessel that size should be able to move, accelerating at rates that would crush most organic crews. The Drath noticed too. Commander Vorn, leading the enemy fleet, apparently decided to eliminate this arrogant newcomer. A dozen Drath destroyers opened fire, filling the space around the Defiance with plasma bolts and missiles. The human ship didn't dodge. The weapons struck its shields and simply stopped. The energy dissipated harmlessly against a barrier that glowed with a soft blue light. Impossible, Krell's science officer whispered. Nothing shrugs off Drath plasma cannons. The Defiance rotated smoothly, bringing its forward weapons to bear on the nearest Drath battleship. A beam of pure white light lanced out from the human vessel. The Drath battleship, all 3 kilometers of armored warship, simply vanished. No explosion. No debris. Just gone. Every ship in both fleets seemed to hold their breath. By the ancestors, Krell whispered. What are these humans? The Defiance accelerated again, diving into the heart of the Drath formation. And the real battle began. Asterisk the D-immunestiod. Defiance moved through the Drath fleet like a predator through prey. Commander. Vorn watched from his command throne as the small human vessel destroyed another of his heavy cruisers. The ship's movements were wrong, impossible. It turned and accelerated in ways that should have torn it apart from the gravitational forces. All batteries, concentrate fire on that vessel. Vorn roared. 50 Drath warships redirected their weapons. The space around the Defiance lit up with enough firepower to crack a moon. Plasma streams, kinetic rounds, and energy torpedoes converged on the human ship from every direction. The blue shields flared brighter, but held steady. Not a single shot penetrated. What kind of shields are those? Vorn's tactical officer stammered. Before anyone could answer, the Defiance fired again. And again. Each shot was precise, calculated. 2 more Drath battleships disappeared in flashes of white light. A destroyer was cut cleanly in half. A carrier's engines exploded, leaving the massive ship drifting and powerless. On the Unity, Krell watched in amazement as the battle transformed before his eyes. The human ship was doing what his entire fleet couldn't do. It was winning. Commander, I'm reading their weapons output, his science officer said, her voice filled with disbelief. The energy levels. They're using technology I don't recognize. It's not plasma, not particle beams. It's something completely different. How different? Krell asked. Our most advanced weapons are toys compared to this. The Defiance spun through a formation of Drath fighters, and they simply fell apart as if an invisible force had crushed them. The human ship didn't slow down, didn't hesitate. It moved with a purpose that spoke of absolute confidence. Open a channel to the human ship, Krell ordered. Channel open. Captain Reed, your technology. How is this possible? The human captain's voice came through, still calm, despite being in the middle of a battle. We've been preparing, Commander. We've been watching your conflicts for decades. Watching? From where? Earth is far from the main trade routes. Quiet, isolated. It gave us time to observe how galactic warfare works. We studied your weapons, your tactics, your technology. Reed paused as another Drath ship exploded in the background. We built our ships to be better. But why didn't you make contact before? We weren't ready. And honestly, most species seem to be managing. But the DRATH... They've gone too far. They attack peaceful worlds. They enslave populations. We don't like bullies, Commander. Another wave of white light erased 3 Drath vessels from existence. Krell felt a strange mixture of hope and fear. Hope that humanity might help end the Drath threat. Fear of what a species this powerful might want in return. Across the battlefield, Commander Vorn was experiencing only rage. His fleet, the pride of the Drath Empire, was being dismantled by a single small ship. His ancestors would curse his name if he retreated. All ships focus every weapon on the human vessel. Vorn commanded. I don't care what it takes, destroy it. The entire Drath fleet, over 100 remaining warships, turned their guns on the Defiance. For a moment, the human ship was at the center of a sphere of pure destruction. Every weapon the Drath possessed fired at once. The light was so intense that Krell had to shield his eyes. Sensors screamed warnings about radiation levels. The amount of energy being poured into that small area of space could have sterilized a planet. When the light faded, the Defiance hung in space, completely undamaged. Not a scratch on its hull. The shields hadn't even flickered. Bad idea. Captain Reed's voice came through on an open channel that every ship could hear. The human vessel's hull opened in dozens of places. Krell counted at least 30 weapon ports he hadn't seen before. The Defiance had been holding back. What happened next took less than 10 seconds. Beams of light shot out in every direction with perfect accuracy. Draft engines exploded. Weapon systems sparked and died. Shield generators overloaded. The human ship targeted every critical system on every enemy vessel with surgical precision. When the light show ended, the entire draft fleet was disabled. Not destroyed, disabled. Ships drifted powerless in space. Life support still functional. But completely unable to fight. Commander Vorn stared at his dead console. His mouth open in shock. Asterisk, attention draft forces. Reed's voice broadcast across all frequencies. Your fleet is disabled. You have two choices, surrender and retreat, or we finish this. You have 60 seconds to decide. Silence filled the void. Then, slowly, Commander Vorn activated his emergency transmitter. The DRATH ... surrender. Krell leaned back in his chair, hardly believing what he had just witnessed. The most powerful military force in the galaxy had been defeated by one human ship. What kind of species had just entered galactic affairs? The new Ariel IT with a battlefield was silent for the first time in hours. Disabled Drath warships drifted in the darkness, their crews alive but their weapons dead. Council vessels held their positions, afraid to move, afraid to break whatever spell had just been cast. And at the center of it all, the human ship Defiance waited calmly, its shield still glowing with that strange blue light. Commander Krell stood on his bridge, trying to process what he had witnessed. His fleet had been saved by a species no one had ever heard of. A species with technology that made the rest of the galaxy look primitive. Sir? Incoming transmission from the Galactic Council High Command. His communications officer reported. Krell straightened his uniform. Put it through. The face of Council Leader Myra appeared on screen, her features tight with urgency. Commander Krell, we received your battle reports. Is it true? About the humans? Every word, Leader. One ship defeated the entire Drath fleet. We need to meet them immediately. Arrange a diplomatic contact. Krell nodded. Understood. He opened a channel to the Defiance. Captain Reed, the Galactic Council, requests a formal meeting. Would you be willing to come aboard the Unity? Give us 20 minutes, Commander. We'll send the shuttle. 20 minutes later, Krell waited in the main docking bay with an honor guard. He didn't know what to expect. Warriors? Giants? Some kind of advanced artificial beings? The human shuttle was small and efficient, settling onto the deck with barely a sound. The airlock opened with a hiss. Captain Reed stepped out first. Krell blinked in surprise. The human was smaller than he expected. Reed stood about average height compared to most species, with dark hair and steady brown eyes. He wore a simple uniform, dark blue with minimal decoration. Behind him came 4 crew members, all similarly dressed, all looking remarkably ordinary. But there was something in their eyes. A quiet confidence. A strength that had nothing to do with physical size. Commander Krell. Reed extended his hand in what Krell recognized as a greeting gesture. Thank you for the invitation. Krell clasped the human's hand carefully. Captain Reed, you saved my fleet. My people owe you our lives. Just doing what's right. Reed looked around the docking bay. Impressive ship you have here. They walked to the conference room, and Krell couldn't help but study the humans. They moved with precision, their heads constantly scanning their surroundings. Like soldiers who had seen real combat. In the conference room, Krell's senior officers waited along with holographic representatives from the council. Everyone stared at the humans with curiosity and barely concealed fear. "Please sit," Krell gestured to the chairs. Once everyone was settled, Council Leader Mira spoke first. "Captain Reed, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I must ask, where did humanity acquire such advanced technology?" Reed leaned back in his chair. "We built it ourselves. Earth, our home world, is what you would call a death world." Murmurs rippled through the room. Death world? Krell asked. Asterisk. High gravity. Violent weather. Dangerous predators. Frequent natural disasters, Reed explained calmly. Most species in the galaxy evolved on easier worlds. Gentle planets with stable climates. Your evolution was peaceful. And yours wasn't? Myra asked. No. Humans had to fight for everything. Fight the environment. Fight predators. Eventually, fight each other. Reed's expression grew serious. We had hundreds of wars. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. But we learned. We adapted. We survived. Your technology reflects this, Krell's science officer said. Everything about your ship is designed for durability and overwhelming force. Reed nodded. When you grow up on a world that's trying to kill you, you build things that last. You build things that protect you. And you develop a culture that values strength and courage. You also showed mercy, Krell pointed out. You could have destroyed the Drath fleet completely. We could have, Reed agreed. But humans learned another important lesson through our wars. Peace is better than conquest. Protecting the weak is better than dominating them. We had to learn these lessons the hard way, through centuries of suffering. We don't want other species to make the same mistakes. Myra leaned forward. Captain Red, the Galactic Council would like to offer Earth full membership and alliance. We accept, Reed said, but with conditions. Conditions? Asterisk, we'll help you defend against aggressors. We'll share some of our technology. But we won't be your weapons. We won't fight wars of conquest. We only fight for freedom and peace. Krell saw the council representatives exchange glances. Finally, Myra nodded. Those terms are acceptable. Welcome to the galactic community, humanity. 3 days later, the news had spread across every civilized world. The Drath Empire formally ended its expansion and sued for peace. Other aggressive empires quietly withdrew from border conflicts. Trade routes that had been dangerous for years became safe overnight. On the bridge of the Unity, Krell watched the Defiance prepare to depart. Captain Reed, he said over the com channel, thank you again. You changed everything. Reed's image smiled on the screen. Commander, there's something you should know. The Defiance isn't alone. There are 12 other human warships positioned throughout the galaxy. We've been watching for a long time. Asterisk Krell felt a chill. 13 ships, each as powerful as the Defiance. Don't worry, Reed continued. We're not here to conquer. We're here to protect. As long as species choose peace, they have nothing to fear from us. The channel closed. The Defiance engaged its engines and jumped to faster-than-light speed, vanishing in a flash of light. Across the galaxy, a new message appeared on every communication network, broadcast in every known language. Humanity has entered galactic affairs. Choose peace. Commander Krell looked out at the stars and smiled. The galaxy would never be the same. And maybe, just maybe, that was a good thing. Asterisk.